privilege to introduce someone who's become a trusted friend. Matt Booth, he is from the congregation, but before that he was from Wisconsin. Wisconsin farm kid, grew up. And I'm trying to remember what Joey, his wife, had said. You told me, Matt, like a common guy doing uncommon things or something like that. So that's Matt. If you don't know Matt, he's going to come up here in a few minutes, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. Matt makes his living, and he does a great job at this, motivating and inspiring people. He travels around the world. He doesn't just do this in Dubuque. He doesn't just do it in Iowa. He doesn't just do it in the United States. He travels around the world talking to people and helping people, and again, to inspire them and to motivate them. To make a difference. And so Matt's part of Grandview now. He's part of the men's cell group on Tuesday, which is where I've had the opportunity to get to know him and to be held accountable by him and to be supported by him. So again, it's a privilege to have Matt come down here, and he's going to share with us a little bit about attitude. Let's welcome Matt this morning.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, bud.
By a show of hands, how many people know someone who could use an attitude adjustment? By a show of hands. By a show of hands, how many people work with someone who could use an attitude adjustment? Okay. By a show of hands, how many people live with someone who could use an attitude adjustment? She's sitting right there, isn't she? And I don't want you to show your hands. Just think about this one. How many people are married to someone who could use an attitude adjustment? Just kind of the laugh gave it away. Attitude is a big deal, okay? And by a show of hands, how many people here are willing to admit that from time to time, it's you who could use an attitude adjustment? I mean, and really that should be all of us. And there's a myth out there that people say you should be positive 100% of the time. I really don't believe that anybody can be positive 100% of the time. Here's the thing. You can't be positive 100% of the time because bad things happen to good people, don't they? There's no way you can be positive all the time. Bad things happen to good people. I think, and this is what I do for a living, I think I'm positive about 87% of the time. About 87% of the time. I'm trying to get better, right? But I'm positive about 87% of the time. That 13% of the time, when I'm not in a good mood, you really don't want to be around me. I mean, and that's true. You can't be positive 100% of the time because bad things happen to good people. I want you, just for 30 seconds, I want you to just close your eyes, and I want you to think about the person you spend the most time with. Think about the person you spend the most time with over the course of a day, over the course of a week, over the course of a month, over the course of a year. Think about the person you spend the most time with. And I know somebody wants to ask me a question right now. The answer is no. Dogs are not people. So you got the name of that person you spend the most time with. I want you to give them a percentage grade on how positive they are. So if they were positive all the time, you would give them a 100%. If they were negative all the time, you would give them a 0. So give that person you were thinking of a grade on their attitude. You've got that. Now, I want you to think about yourself, and I want you to give yourself a grade on your attitude. If you were positive all the time, you'd give yourself a 100. If you were negative all the time, you'd give yourself a 0. So give yourself a grade. How'd you do on our attitude test? okay? See, very few people ever think about attitude like that. I mean, we never really put a value on our attitude. I said I'm about 87%. I'm trying to get up to 90, right? Now, here's a belief that I'm going to share this morning. I have a belief that's helped me maybe take my attitude from a lower score up to a higher score. I profoundly believe that God put me here to be happy and successful. And I believe He's given me all the tools, talents, and abilities to handle anything life throws at me. I profoundly believe this in myself. I profoundly believe that God put me here to be happy and successful. And this is the cool thing, who gets to define happy and successful? Who gets to define that? Yeah. And I believe that He's given me all the tools, talents, and abilities to handle anything that life throws at me. And can life throw some doozies at you? Yeah. Here's the second part of that belief that I have. You see, I profoundly believe that each and every one of you here, that God put each and every one of you on this earth to be happy and successful. He didn't put you here to be average. And I believe, Nathan, He's given you all the tools, talents, and abilities, buddy, to handle anything that life throws at you. And can life throw some things at you? Yeah. I profoundly believe that in each of every one of you. What's the question? I mean, it's cool that I believe it in you, but what's the big question? And this is where people's eyes start looking away from me. The question is, do you believe that in yourself? And then the follow-up to that is, what are you going to do to show God that you believe it? Here's how attitude works, and here's why attitude is such a big deal. See, the attitude that you have towards something determines what you think about that something. And if you think about something enough, eventually you begin to talk about it, right? And if you talk about something enough, doesn't it happen? So the attitude that you have, Caleb, determines ultimately the outcomes. Monday is a perfect example of this. Monday. How many people know somebody who doesn't like Mondays? Yeah, we all do, don't we? Monday is a perfect example. Studies show and statistics show that the things people do on Monday are exactly the same things they do on Friday. It's just their attitude towards Monday. So it starts Monday morning. Doesn't it start about Sunday afternoon? Your attitude towards Monday starts about Sunday afternoon. You start moping around the house, walking around with your head down. For no particular reason, you just don't want tomorrow to start. You can't figure out why besides it's Monday. Right? So you stay up a little later than you should. And then finally you get to bed and you're sleeping, your alarm clock goes off on Monday morning and you reach over and you hit snooze. And it goes off again and you reach over and you hit snooze. And it goes off again and finally you get up and you drag your butt out of bed to the shower. And you're taking a shower. Partway through your shower, the hot water runs out. Now, you don't think this happened because you got in the shower a half an hour late and everybody else in the house got in the shower before you on Monday morning. You think this happened because it's Monday. See how this works? The attitude determines your outcome. So now you're kind of late and you're in a hurry and it's Monday, so you put on a nice new shirt or a new blouse and you're in a hurry and you run downstairs and you grab a jelly donut off the kitchen table. And what's going to happen when you take a bite of that jelly donut? It's going to get on your shirt or your blouse, right? You don't think this happened because you were in a hurry. You think it happened because it's Monday. Okay, you're with me, right? Okay, up until now. You see, here's the thing about attitude. If you choose to have a poor attitude or if you choose to have a negative attitude, what you're doing is you're punishing yourself. You're actually punishing yourself. If you choose to be in a bad mood, you're punishing yourself. And Tom, no one really cares if you want to have a bad attitude. If you lock yourself in a room and don't text or don't iPad or don't call anyone, no one cares. You can punish yourself all day. You might even shave your head or something. It'd be crazy. You see, really, the reality of it is we like to think people care, But no one really cares about Tom's attitude if he is by himself in a room. But as soon as you start interacting with other people, co-workers, church members, family, your friends, not only are you punishing yourself, you begin to punish them. Okay, and here's how this works. So I'm getting ready on my Monday, just changed my shirt. I come downstairs. My son says, hey, Dad, or hey, Grandpa or Grandma, I've got a big math test today. Wish me luck. And you think to yourself, oh, no, it's Monday. Now my kid's got a math test. I just want my kid to get to the school and get home, without getting punched on the playground or something. And now he's telling me he's got a math test. This is horrible. You see, you're thinking, right? So I yell out the door as Carter's getting on the bus. I say, hey, Carter, don't worry about your big math test, buddy. It's okay if you do bad. Your old man wasn't good at math either. It's all right, buddy. You're good at a lot of other things. How many of us have heard something like that in our lives? How many of us have said something like that in our lives, right? Okay, and now the kid's gone, so it's Monday, you're really late for where you're going, and we jump in our car, and what happens on Monday morning when you're late and you jump in your car? You're out of gas. Drive fast. Somebody said traffic. Are you from Dubuque? We don't really have traffic. Yeah, you drive fast, right? You drive fast. And what happens if you drive fast enough Monday mornings in a row? Nate, what happens, man? You're going to get a ticket. And we don't think to ourselves that this happened because we were driving too fast. We think it happened because... and the police officer was kind of a jerk. That's what we think. Sorry. But we think it happened because it's Monday, right? And then we get all of our stuff and we finally get to where we're going and we walk into the office or school or wherever we're at and we get there and the first person we see, they say, hi, how are you? And what do? How do you think I am? It's Monday. You see, the attitude that we have determines our thinking towards something. If we think about something enough, you begin to talk about it. If you talk about it enough, it begins to happen. If you choose to be in a bad mood, not only are you punishing yourself, but you're punishing people around you. You're punishing people around you. It affects other people. Now, the opposite is true. If you're in a good mood, you're kind of rewarding yourself, and you're rewarding people around you, right? That's the cool part about it. Okay, so what can we do? What can we do? There's a couple things that you can really do. First of all, you have to really seriously think about checking your attitude on a daily basis. I mean, most of us in here change the oil in our car, what, every 3,000 miles? We know this. Are you checking your attitude every 3,000 miles? I'm guessing most of us, before we left the house, brushed our teeth this morning before we came here. Probably some of you forgot, were in the car, you got out of the car, you went back in and brushed your teeth. There's a few people here that probably have disposable toothbrushes in their purses right now. Do you also have an attitude checker kit in your purse, Nona? Yeah, she does. Do you understand what I'm saying? We've got to think about our attitude. Wouldn't it be cool if everybody thought about their attitude at least as often as they brush their teeth? I mean, who would you rather hang out with? Somebody who has stinky breath or someone who has a stinky attitude? You're like, well, how close do I have to hang out? I mean, you can always pass the guy some mints, right? But we got to think about our attitudes. Here's the thing. If you're letting the day of the week determine whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood, you need to seriously think about your attitude and try to get it more positive. You're letting the day of the week determine whether you're positive or negative. That's just not going to cut it. You see, God didn't put you here to have every Monday a bad day. A lady came up to me after a program like this. She said, Matt, I get what you're saying about attitude and stuff. She goes, but I hate Mondays. I will always hate Mondays forever. And I thought about it. I said, do you really mean that? She goes, I hate them. They stink. If she came up out of her way to tell me this, how many other people do you think she's telling this? I said, are you serious about this? You hate Mondays? She says, yes, I do. I always will. I said, you know what? With that attitude, what you're telling everybody up front is that you hate 1/7 of your life. I mean, how many days of the week are there? 7. She's telling me, and probably anyone who will listen, that from here on out, she's going to hate every Monday for the rest of her life. Why would you do that? Another guy came up to me, he goes, oh, I don't mind Mondays. I'm like, oh, good. He goes, I just hate mornings. That's like 1/3, isn't it? So you got to think about your attitude. One thing that you can do is think about it. Another thing you can do is get involved. Get around people who believe that they're here to be happy and successful, and they also believe that you're here to be happy and successful. Now, Grandview has all sorts of opportunities. I got involved, my wife and I got involved because of Dave Ramsey. We made a phone call. Next thing I know, we're coming to worship, and it's kind of a fun place to be. After that, my wife's singing in the band. Okay? Then we're taking our kids to school, and I'm in a cell group, and now look what's happening. Yeah, thanks, Tom. You see, but you got to get involved. This is a family. You got to be in your church. Your church family believes that God put you here to be happy. That's important, especially if you're having one of those days. Does your real family believe that you were put here to be happy? That's super important if you're having one of those days, right? So you got to get involved. And finally, take action. Do something. Do anything. Even if it's not right, do anything. Get moving. Anything will improve your attitude besides doing nothing. You've got to take action. You've got to join something. You've got to say yes to something. You see, God put you here to be happy, but he can't do it for you. Pastor Tom can't do it for you. I can't do it for you. You've got to make a decision that when you leave today, you're going to do something to move that needle on your attitude. You've got to take action. You see, this is so important because I profoundly believe that God put me here to be happy and successful. And I profoundly believe that God put each and every one of you here on this earth to be happy and successful. He brought you here today to hear this. He didn't put you here just to be average. He put you here to be happy and successful. And you know what? You get to define happy and successful. So please don't let the day of the week determine whether you're positive or whether you're negative. I profoundly believe it. The question is, do you?
Amen.